Hey guys, what's up? This is Dingo Crikey here with another commentary video. This time I'm going to be discussing whether or not Lockdown should have survived Transformers Age of Extinction. For anyone concerned, this video will contain major spoilers for Transformers 4 Age of Extinction, so if the title wasn't a good enough hint that this video contains spoilers, you've been warned. With that said, this is a topic that had kind of been floating around in my mind ever since I first seen the movie, but for some reason I never got to doing a video about it. Well, I just went to see Avengers 2 Age of Ultron this Friday, and I won't spoil that movie for anyone who hasn't seen it, but the way they ended off the villain kind of got me back to thinking about Transformers Age of Extinction, Transformers 5, and should they have really killed Lockdown in the end of the film? And I still hold the opinion that I had after first seeing the movie, and that is that they definitely should not have killed Lockdown. It was really disappointing even seeing it upon initial viewing. Now, it was obviously cool to have that big moment where Optimus saves Cade and sticks a sword through him, slices him up the middle, but in retrospect, I think that was a horrible move. For starters, Lockdown was a much more interesting villain than most of them we have in these films. Sentinel was a pretty good one, but guys like Megatron, Soundwave, Shockwave, Starscream, they've all kind of just been bad guys. Lockdown was the first one we seen in the movie who was, for one, neither Autobot or Decepticon, so it's cool to have someone outside the box, and also a sort of more civilized villain. Yeah, he's evil, he rips people's sparks out, he tries to stomp humans, but he wasn't this dude who came to Earth looking to conquer. That was totally not his mission. He's basically just on a mission to retrieve Optimus Prime, and in return, he's willing to work with the humans and give them this seed and knock off some of the other Autobots while he's at it. Already that's so different from the other villains in the Transformers film. He's just much more of a small-scaled guy, like bounty hunter dude. And I think it's also cool that he works for the creators, whoever they are, possibly the Quintessons, that's what we're all hoping. But either way, he's not like Megatron, who's some egotistical maniac. Yeah, he gives the whole lecture to Cade about look in my face and you die, and no one humiliates me. But he's really nothing like Megatron, and that's hard to come by when looking at main villains in Transformers. I mean, look at someone like Steeljaw in Robots in Disguise. I was really optimistic about the guy at first, but really, he's just turned out to be a poor man's Megatron so far. Lockdown was definitely not that. It didn't feel like the creators of the film were just trying to replicate Megatron, and it turned out that we got a pretty cool character out of it. He doesn't have that big, intimidating image of Megatron or guys like Shockwave. He's a much more humanoid-looking Transformer, once again comes off much more civilized, is less of a loud character, and even his fighting style is unique. For one thing, as far as weapons, he has a whole barrage of stuff, from grenades to his head cannon, a lot of really cool, unique stuff, and I don't think they exhausted his options of weapons in that film. His fighting style, too, it's unique. It's not as cumbersome as a guy like Megatron. When he's tackling Optimus, it's a lot more like crawling around him, getting his hook over Optimus's head, flipping him over, that kind of stuff. Just so much cool with Lockdown's character, and it wasn't exhausted in Age of Extinction. Now, I think they went far enough with him that I feel satisfied with him being killed in Age of Extinction. We still have a memorable version of Lockdown in the films, but they could have done so much more with his character. I was really hoping the film would go in that direction when we see Lockdown's flying off originally. That Galvatron would take the reins as the main villain, and we would see Lockdown in Transformers 5. It would have made for a kind of chaotic plotline, but we got that anyway, so it wouldn't have been anything worse. But right when I seen Lockdown was upset that the prisoners escaped, I knew where this movie was going, that he was going to come back and he was going to die, and for his character I think that was really unfortunate. As far as Transformers 5 goes, I also think it hurts that movie. In every single Transformers film, we've seen the villain die in the end. Megatron dies in the 2007 film, the Fallen gets massacred by Optimus, Sentinel dies, and now Lockdown too. It would have been nice to see them carry on a villain from one movie to the next, other than Galvatron. Even Galvatron. Megatron was killed in Dark of the Moon, brought back as Galvatron, and then killed off in the first movie. It just happens so much, and yeah, we are going to have Galvatron in Transformers 5, but for one thing, he's a repetitive villain. Yeah, he's Galvatron, but he really is Megatron, so we've already seen him a ton. He doesn't really have a whole lot to offer as far as excitement goes. We know there is going to be some new higher echelon of villains, probably the creators. There usually are dueling villains in the Transformer films. Sentinel, Megatron, Fallen, Megatron, Lockdown, Galvatron. So now we're going to have to be completely reintroduced to a new villain who will probably be killed off by the end of the film. If we had Lockdown still alive, he could have kind of been the crossover, so to speak, the mediator for the audience to get us to these new characters. Maybe he dies halfway through the film. I would have liked to see them keep him up till the end of Transformers 5, then you could probably kill him off. But now we're just going to have some new villain, maybe the Quintessons, maybe another minion of theirs, introduced, and we're going to have to get used to them all over again. I think it would have been much better if they would have just kept Lockdown there, further developed him, and established him as a more relevant villain in the Transformers franchise. I mean, if he lasted as 2 movies for the main villain, he would have definitely moved past just Lockdown. And I think even if you're like me and you like him, by the end of the 5th film, you're going to want to see him get it so badly, because he still helped the humans hunt down all of the Autobots. He ripped out Ratchet Spark, owned Optimus, and if he was alive in Transformers 5, had probably done a lot of other nasty things throughout that film. So by the time he would have got it, it would have had much more of an impact. I mean, I think this guy had a much greater capacity to become a love-to-hate villain than Megatron, at least the film renditions of him, would ever have. He's just cocky, seems to keep his cool, he's so condescending, kind of like acts like he's on top of things. Just his whole demeanor, you could really learn to hate this guy. And you kind of did in Age of Extinction, but they definitely didn't take that to its fullest potential. And once again, Transformers 5, we're going to have a new villain built up, probably to be killed in the end of the film. I don't think Galvatron is going to die by the end of Transformers 5, so we're still going to have him around. But in my opinion, he's not really a guy I care about, and there probably are a lot of other people who feel that way. I know a lot of people like Galvatron, that's totally cool, but I think it would have been nice to see a villain such as Lockdown stick around much longer than he did. So those are my thoughts on it. It was a big mistake to have Lockdown killed at the end of Age of Extinction. Not only did they get rid of an awesome character, but it just adds to the repetition of these movies, getting used to new villains, all that kind of stuff. So those are my thoughts on it. You guys can leave what you think in the comment section below. Do you think Lockdown should have died in Age of Extinction when he did? Maybe you hated the guy and thought it was perfect timing because you want to see a new villain come in, or maybe you're convinced that they're going to bring him back in Transformers 5. It definitely wouldn't be something new, as we've seen them do it a lot in the previous Transformers films. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, along with any topic suggestions you might have pertaining to Transformers 5, the Generations toy line, or the Robots in Disguise cartoon. Basically anything Transformers. Thanks for watching, stay tuned for more Transformers news and commentary, and have a good one, guys.